Hi.
Nice to see you. And
Likewise.
have a talk with you like this way, okay?
Okay.
And I know your company Stombenchers established in 2000, 2000, right? Almost 17 years have passed. What's your mission of your company?
Our mission was to help entrepreneurs succeed. And since then, we've really refined our mission to just about building enterprise leaders.
What's your main area of interest where you invest or to venture companies?
Right. So it goes back to, you asked about what is the mission of Storm. And so the mission of Storm is about building enterprise leaders. And so that's my primary area of focus too, is building enterprise leaders. And we look at it in two ways. One is how to make the company into a new leader. And the second is to how to help, especially first-time CEOs and co-founders become enterprise leaders as well too. So it's both making the founders and the company into next-generation leaders. And we do that by really doing it in three ways. First, we really focus. And so we focus on the enterprise as a sector. We focus in terms of building a community. So focus is very important. The second thing is that we've learned that companies succeed or fail usually by solving what we call go-to-market fit. And so we've made tremendous investments in building expertise in go-to-market fit. And then the last is mentoring, is to be a mentor with the founders through the entire journey.
And then I want to know, what's the main area of your interest for investment? I mean, the industry.
Oh, so within enterprise, so as I mentioned, we're focused on enterprise. And today, right now, the primary investment theme is what we call AI plus SaaS, is where software as a service or SaaS is an application in the cloud, and it's primarily based on building new workflow. And AI is providing the analytics and the prescriptive that when you combine the two, we see that as the most effective new technology. And that can be applied to security, it can be applied to marketing, it can be applied to digital health. And so we've done many investments capitalizing on this artificial intelligence combined with software as a service.
How do you evaluate the future environment and opportunities of companies for sustainable growth in this first industrial revolution age?
Right. So I'd look at right now that the most important underlying trend in this fourth industrial revolution is the transition to the cloud. So that the compute infrastructure, so in other words, computing technology is moving to the cloud. And that is just creating huge opportunities for applications, cloud applications like software as a service, or whether it's big data, or whether it's artificial intelligence, everything is all as a derivative of this movement to the cloud. And that's what I see as sort of the key underlying technology trend today. Just like we went from mainframes to personal computers, and then in internet-based data center architecture, and now we're moving to the cloud first.
And then how, the companies in each of industry, like heavy industry or textile or food and that kind of thing, right? Not IT industry, right? Have to change or gotta change from their, way of doing business.
Right. So in the same way that when the personal computer came out, it impacted a lot of applications, or when internet came out, it impacted a lot of other non-tech industries. In the same way, by moving to the cloud, it's impacting other industries. And so whether it's going into self-driving cars, or whether it's going into all the logistics. What we're seeing is that by going to the cloud, it's creating the digital transformation. So whether it's society going through digital transformation, whether it's companies going through digital transformation, or you have individuals going through digital transformation, is that the movement to the cloud basically provides unlimited compute power to any person or to any company. And that unlimited compute power is enabling this digital transformation. And that's what I see as the most important thing, is the technology shift to the cloud and the usage moving to digital transformation. What we're seeing is that by going through the digital transformation, many of these traditional industries are becoming almost like software companies. And so they need to, having software and service as connected to their traditional product is how they deliver better experience to the user. So take a doctor, for example, the doctor will, by going through digital transformation, the doctor's office will know more about me, my behavior, and be able to then, as a result, take better action to help me and provide better service.
It means it's a kind of a transformation of how to get to the customer.
How to better serve the customer.
And then service to their customer.
I mean, think of it this way. Think of like how internet has changed traditional industries like retail.
Right.
It's changed communications. Internet is where basically it made it easy for computers to talk to other computers. So that has enabled all this transformation. In the same way, now having this access to unlimited compute power and storage is also changing how companies and societies act. I mean, I was just reading the Wall Street Journal about how the Chinese government is building digital cities and doing other things to better understand and predict and possibly control their people. But that's because you now have all this cloud infrastructure.
Tell me about your success stories of investment for the last 17 years as a venture capitalist.
Sure. The one that had the biggest impact to me is a company that we incubated here, and I was the founding CEO for 2 years, a company called Airspace. It was Wi-Fi for the enterprise. I was the founding CEO. I hired the first 24 employees. We went through a major pivot in the beginning where we were to go in one direction, and we needed to change. And as a result, I had to lay off 50% of the employees. So it was a very tough decision, but otherwise the company would not survive. And then later on, company did well, and we sold it to Cisco for $450 million. And that business is doing several $1 billion a year at Cisco. So that for me was probably the most meaningful company, because also if that company failed, I probably wouldn't have a job as a VC. So it was the most important. In terms of return, the best return for me has been a company called Marketo, which is a leading marketing software company that I was on the board for 10 years. And in Korea, Koreans know me best for a mobile game company, Comtuous, that I was on the board for also for close to 10 years. But Airspace, the first company, is the most meaningful because if it failed, I wouldn't be a VC.
Okay, good. Is there any movement in the Silicon Valley these days in terms of the startup company establishment and how to just make a success?
Well, I would say right now the economic climate in Silicon Valley is very strong. It's a combination of, you know, global economy is doing well, and then second, we're going through a major technology change, and this is the movement to the cloud. And so the combination of the two is just creating many opportunities.
In terms, what kind of opportunities?
Customers are realizing that they have to change their technology, how they use technology. It's just like when the internet was taking off. And so customers are going through and realizing they have to make this change. And as a result, they're open to new technologies, and that means they're open to startups.
And then again...
And they have money to spend.
Okay. And does that movement make an impact and the telling story to Korean venture startup, you know, environment?
This is a very good time for Korean startups to enter the United States. And we're seeing great success of like European startups here in the United States. It's just that so the opportunity exists. I think for Korean startups, at least in the business sector, the enterprise or B2B sector that we invest in, the challenge has been that Korean startups have to use the same kind of technology that's common here in the United States. And that means to take a more of a cloud-first approach, which Korea is behind in. So what I find the difference between now and when I was investing in Korea earlier is that before, Korea technology-wise was ahead of the United States, especially in mobile. And so Korean companies were in a good spot and the US would catch up. But now it seems like in some of these areas, US is ahead of Korea. And so the opportunity is to take US business models and put it in Korea rather than the other way around.
And as you may know, these days, the Korean government officers drives to, you know, the Korean youngsters to make a startup and in order to be an entrepreneur, right? But even they do not make any, you know, change in, you know, environment for entrepreneurs, right? And how do you make comment on those, you know?
Well, I think the overall idea is good. You know, creating startups is a way of taking advantage of the new economy, new trends, and it helps a lot of income redistribution issues and all that youth unemployment. So it makes a lot of sense. And clearly the government is providing a lot of money. I think, though, what's important is not just providing the right money, but the guidance and the direction to help them so that they have a higher probability of succeeding. For example, one is to just pick, if the world is going cloud first, should Korea also do the same? Otherwise, technology-wise, Korea could become an island.
I know you just write a book titled "Survivor to Thriver" for last
2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
And then, what was about it, and then also how do you feel about it?
Well, if I knew it was this hard, I wouldn't have started. But I've been working on this book with my friend and co-author Bob Tinker, and you know, we've been fortunate here in Silicon Valley to work on a lot of successful companies and gotten a lot of help from others along in our careers, and so we wanted to sort of share that advice and what we've learned back to the community. And so that was the motivation behind writing this book on how to help entrepreneurs build successful enterprise startups. Because we also saw that there's a lot of books that help in terms of how to build consumer startups, but not really ones on how to build this enterprise startups. And so it became then a journey for us to combine our two perspectives into one book. You know, in his case, he's a founder, CEO. I'm a VC board member. So getting our two perspectives, you know, VC, CEO into one. And then other is personality-wise. I was an applied math major, so I like frameworks and models. And Bob's very practical, so he's like anti-model. And so combining those two, I think, has resulted in something that we hope is very practical, but you know, analytical.
Okay, good.